Hello and welcome back to Pick One Photo. I'm Chris Marquardt, and this is the show where we talk about stories behind photos. I've done that with a whole bunch of exciting guests in the past, and here's how this works. I invite a guest, and the guest brings one photo that they took and picks one photo from this list of photos that I took, and then together we explore those photos. So let me introduce today's guest. It's Don Komarechka. Let me try an introduction. Photographer, mad photoscientist from Canada. He's photographed everything from the most intricate snowflakes to freezing soap bubbles in ultraviolet light. That's how you say it. Ultraviolet light. And he's just finished his book on macro photography, which is about to be shipped pretty soon. Hi, Don. How are you
Hello,
today?
Chris. Thank you for having me on this. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Did I miss anything?
Well, I mean, you mentioned that my book is just about done, and I'm just so thrilled with that. We've talked about this before.
Yes, we have.
And it is a tome of knowledge for macro photography, which
Let me show,
you mentioned
let me
a lot
show
of the
people.
stuff that
Here we go.
Sure.
Here it is. It's on pre-order right now as we record this. I can't wait to get my hands on it. It is just filled
It's literally
with...
just come off the press and has just been bound yesterday at the printers, and it's probably on a truck by now.
And it's
on
just
its way to me.
it's just this amazing resource to learn how to do these things. You have these amazing examples. You have behind the scenes information. So that's pretty much I guess one of those photos we'll probably look at today. So the way this goes here is you make a choice of one of my photos. I receive one of yours. I have this. It's already here to be shown. But this is the point where you tell me the number of the photo that you've chosen, and I will
You're going to have to scroll way down, Chris.
Okay, where is it?
057.
05. Let me guess. Okay, let me open this one in a new tab so it looks nicer. Okay, before we go into this photo, though, this is let's talk about the photo that you took, and here it is. That's the one you sent me. So I will just ask you a few questions about this because, of course, it is along the macro photography theme that your book is along. So I like it. I do like it. So this is like the first thing that I see is the colors, right? You have a heart shape, which I suppose is leaves of a plant or petals of a flower. There's this nice color contrast with the background, which is greenish bluish, which contrasts nicely with the red. And then you have, I guess it's a bit of an earth theme going on in that water droplet.
It is, yeah. That is the Earth refracting in the water droplet.
So you took a trip to the ISS, and no, wait, there's too much gravity in this photo. No, it doesn't work.
That's right. Gravity is showing its pull here. And so in order to create this, it's actually a pretty simple image to make in terms of what the background is, which is a printed map of the Earth from NASA's public domain archives. And I can even get you a link to that specific map that anybody can download and use. And I printed it out, placed it in behind. I've done a lot of this type of work with refraction before, usually using a larger flower, like a Gerbera daisy that gets placed in the background and it shows up inside the flower. But you don't have to just use a flower. I mean, that's classical.
Use anything, pretty much.
It can be anything. It could be any photo that you've taken as well, right? Like if you have a...
The way this is distorted, it doesn't really matter if, I mean, this is a printout of a photo. How big is the printout?
That's about 18 inches across.
Oh, that's okay.
So 18 by 9.5 or something like that is what it ended up being. And if it was smaller, it would have worked just as well. However, a smaller print, and well, maybe not just as well, it would have to be closer. And if it's closer to the subject, the thing is, the background is also the map. The map is just out of focus in the background. And so a smaller print, in order to fill the droplet refraction to the same degree, would have to be closer, and thereby the background would be more in focus as a result of that. And one of the things that works really well, at least in my opinion, of this image is that the background is soft. And if it was more visible to see that, okay, well, that's a continent and these are clouds or what have you, in the background, then it would be a distraction to the main subject.
So, question: How big are the petals? What are we looking at from a scale point of view?
They're tiny. They're I don't know, maybe.
Oh, I guess the water droplet kind of gives it away, because I don't think hanging water droplets are usually kind of the same size, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a very big droplet as far as droplets are concerned. But this was a mini Gerbera daisy, so it had very, very small petals. The entire flower head was quite diminutive compared to the bigger ones that I would normally be using. And so the trick here, though, was getting them to make a heart shape.
Did you do that, or did the flower did it on its own?
This is completely staged. Everything about this image is constructed by me as an artist, both as a droplet sculptor and as a photographer. And so, to make this work, at first I was just playing around. It's an image that I had originally made in 2012 of putting a water droplet on a flower petal and having the earth in behind it. And we just passed Earth Day, and it gave me the idea to revisit the concept again.
So it's an evolution of that concept.
It is. And I started with the classic, the same that I had done before, and I tried to make the droplet dangle and hang to be representative of this fragile planet that we're on, that is hanging by an ever thinner thread. And then I realized, well, what if I could make the flower petals into a heart shape? And they're kind of I don't think bouncy is the right word, but they don't they're kind of springy. They don't like to stay in that shape. And so there was an hour or so of tinkering, just trying to figure out how this shape was going to actually be sustained. And in the end, the only way that it was actually able to stay that way was to hold it in place with my fingers, while my other hand had a hypodermic needle. And I sort of created a water droplet at the end of that, and it's the weight of the droplet
that holds
that is the
together.
Only thing that's holding them together.
Hooray for surface tension. I like this. So is that initially, was that an idea that you found somewhere? Is that something you came up with, or how did that?
I don't think I'm the first person to put the earth in a water droplet. No, and
probably not.
When I first came up with the concept, I had seen other people had done it, but they were using like political maps of the earth, where all the countries are different colors and what have you, and not like not a topographical map, but like a satellite map, and even it took me a while to find a satellite map that had cloud cover on it.
But by the way, you sent me a behind the scenes photo. Let's open that one up. That's kind of,
So you can see the map that I have printed, satellite map that has realistic cloud cover on top of it, which is exactly what I was looking for. And you can see very, very small, right in front of the lens is the two little hearts, or the two little petals with the heart shape. It's as simple as it needs to be, necessarily. Yes, I've got some complicated gadgets and, gooseneck arms holding stuff up.
You can do this with a piece of gaffer's tape and a few wires and stuff. So
exactly.
Yeah. That's amazing. So you might not be the first person who came up with that concept, but I think you definitely are the one who did the best execution. So thank you for sharing that. That's pretty awesome. Let's move on to the photo that you chose, and it is this one. And
why would I choose this photo, Chris?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think I can see you in there right under the tower, right?
That's right. I'm in this one.
Okay, so what do you want to know about this photo? Well, not that you don't really know it already.
I just wanted to talk about this one because, for me, this photo was sort of the beginning of a journey. This was taken in 2010, and I had, at the time that I was taking this workshop in Toronto, I was just starting to work at my local college, teaching photography classes. And I had done some of my first art exhibitions, and I really was a sponge of knowledge at the time. And I mean, I still am, and every photographer should be, I think, throughout their entire career. But you gave a lot of very interesting insights on this particular workshop. And when I saw this image, I remembered a lot of these people that I was having fun with.
It was an amazing group of people. It was just a fun group of people, and I've amazingly good memories of this workshop because it was very special.
So, a couple of questions for you.
Absolutely.
Number one, you gave us these little blank slide holders, right?
Yes.
Do you judge people based on whether they hold it horizontally or vertically? I mean, is that like a psychological tell if somebody...
No.
Because half the people are doing it one way, half the people are doing it the other way, and our good friend Sean Galbraith in the background is just the oddball.
Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is. He has to. By the way, he was also a guest on Pick One Photo, so if you go to the other episodes, you can find my discussion with him there. No, not at all. But I found it an interesting idea. What I usually do with group shots is I try to find an element that brings this together, that not just shows a picture of 20 individuals, but 20 people who have something in common. And on a photo workshop, that might be a camera. Everyone's holding a camera or something. And we use these little frames to talk about field of view of telephoto and wide angle and how that changes when you move that, when you look through it and you move it forward and backwards. And so I just thought, it was a spontaneous idea. I just thought, yep, let's do that. Everyone gets one of these. I think I gave everyone one of those anyway, and then let's bring those up to the roof of the building where we take the photo. Matt Armstead, Raf Sitar, the release pixie on the left. He doesn't have one, so he's faking it. And me too. I think I might not have brought enough of those. So,
but I think that it shows character, and it shows that everybody is kind of holding it in their own sort of unique way, and everybody's smiling, and we're all having fun. In fact, I have a photo that I had taken from this exact same rooftop at night during the workshop. That is that I've sold and I've licensed, but it's also one of my most infringed images in terms of copyright infringement. It's been taken by real estate companies, by Airbnb places,
Oh, wow.
by construction companies, immigration lawyers, even. So yeah, it's a picturesque location. But to do this as a portrait, especially as a group portrait, there's a couple of things, I guess, to consider. Number one, depth of field with multiple rows of people, but lighting in such an environment. I'm seeing harsh shadows, right?
I'm very proud of the lighting in this photo. I'm super proud of this because...
Tell me about it.
It was really one of those challenges, and I love going into like available light situations without knowing up front how things are going to turn out, and I like to decide these things on the spot. And with lighting a group of that size is, well, first of all, you want Toronto in the background, of course. So that made it difficult because the sun was also on that side. You can see this on the hair of the people. The sun is above and behind people. So I didn't bring flashes. I didn't bring big reflectors or anything. So what I did is I used the side of a building up there. There's a structure up there that is relatively bright, and I used that as a big reflector. So the camera is almost flush against a wall, and we're standing in front of that wall, which allows the perspective, and it allows for the group to be lit in the front, and the sun being behind them also helps them not to squint hard or anything. So gives you a relaxed face, even though they're all squinting because of the frames now, but that's a different story. The lighting, the on location lighting. I always like to find something that is part of the location to help me with that.
And of course, Toronto has all sides, but this one has the taller buildings and the CN Tower and everything.
You
so
have
just
to
the
have it
position
in
of the
there.
sun at the time that we were taking this picture, I think works out really nicely. And that actually answers my question, because I was seeing harsh shadows from the direct sunlight on the
Sure.
ground in the bottom left-hand area of the frame. But you didn't have shadow on the people, and so it was the building that was there, and I had forgotten that
Yeah.
particular element. Wonderful
Oh,
way to use the available light.
another thing about this photo that um, that I think will help people to relax a bit about exposing photos well. And that is, of course, the background, the city in the background, the buildings were still quite a bit brighter than the foreground, than the faces. So I wasn't, I just took it down pretty much. I
Would
just
you
brought the
would
exposure
you
down
shoot
quite
this?
drastically.
Yeah. To my mind, I think, okay, well, dynamic range isn't capable of recovering the sky, but what if I were to shoot sort of like an HDR
Yeah, you could.
portrait, and not process it as like the really grungy, awful looking HDR type stuff,
Right.
but to just have an image that has sky data in there that you could pull back a little bit, and the hair highlights and other things as well.
When I took this out, I thought about this, and then I looked on the camera how what information I had, and I decided again on that spot that this is a group shot. The background is just there to to place it, to show where it is. It's not the main player in the photo. It's the people in the photo, and everyone who's
Yeah.
looking at that will just you want to look into faces on photos, so the faces overpower everything else, and the rest is just there for atmosphere, pretty much. So
Yeah.
I was cool about
Uh,
that. I knew I would lose some of the sky, but yeah, that's fine.
Well, and you know what, you make a good point that it doesn't really matter per se, because it's not the purpose of the image. I would say that, the technical geek in me, looks to try to solve technical problems
Oh,
in
sure.
an image, but even if there are technical problems in a photograph, it doesn't mean that it's an actual negative to a photograph, because photography is so much more than the technicalities therein. So long as it achieves its purpose, it achieves its purpose, right?
It's also interesting. I mean, this is 11 years ago, but that was around the time where I started to relax a bit more about these kind of things, where I was like, yeah, it's going to meet its purpose. It's going to do what it's supposed to do.
The building on the right is leaning, Chris. Come on, you got to fix that line. You got to make it vertical.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely not. So I think that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much, Don, for dropping by again. Let's end this with a look at your photo, because that's really a keeper. So
And I want everybody to at least try to put the Earth in a water droplet. It's so easy to do.
easy enough.
Now, one quick tip about that photo though is the print that I made in the background was on matte paper, and that's key, because when you're shining a light directly on it, you don't want to have any glossy reflections coming in that mess up the view of the map in the water droplet. So matte paper is key.
There you go. We've learned something about this photo, and we've learned macro photography in the process. Don, thank you so much. Everyone else, go and buy Don's book. Of course, I'll put the link in the show notes, in the description. You can find all the other videos that I've shot around Pick One Photo at pick1photo.com. Until next time, everyone, take care and bye-bye.